Welcome, welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on every single movie that I watched in January of 2025. But I'm also going to cheat a little bit and include a couple movies I watched right on the last couple of days of December because that's when I started tracking, or rather logging, the movies I watched, and I figure it would just feel weird to leave them out. So we're talking about them. It's my video. I can pick. We're going to get right into it here. Take a look at the spreadsheet. We've got Troy. I watched this technically on December 29th, but we're going to give it a pass. Troy is an adaptation of the Iliad and the other parts of the epic cycle of the Greek oral tradition that talk about the Trojan War, of course. And I went into watching Troy because I read the Iliad a few days before that. I finished reading it and I was like, okay, I really enjoyed the Iliad. Obviously, I knew the story from like Latin class and stuff back in the day, but just reading it in the original verse and, with a few more years experience under my belt and this and that, I really connected with the story. I really liked it. But this isn't a review of that poem. It's a review of the movie, but that was what urged me to go watch the movie. And yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was like incredible, but it was much better than I was expecting it to be, honestly. It took a few creative liberties, but one thing I really liked that was like, it was a departure from the original, was that they didn't have the gods in it directly. So here's I think the movie handled it really well. I get they were going for like the Hollywood thing, so they wanted to distance the gods from it so it could seem like a more grounded tale, probably appeal to audiences and whatnot. So what they did was they like had prayers and they talked about the gods, and Apollo was a big he was a patron of the Trojans, and they like sort of, some of the Trojans are in the camp that they should be praying to Apollo and are more religiously minded, while others, like one of the main characters, Hector, is more practically minded and he doesn't pay much credence to the gods. And so in the movie, it's never really stated one way or the other if the gods are helping them out. It's just sort of implied in the background, and not really shown either way. It's just kind of like real life, you pray and maybe there's a god, maybe there's not, kind of thing. So I thought that was a pretty, I don't even know if it was intentional. It felt maybe intentional. Maybe I'm giving the movie makers too much credit there, but I thought it was really well done. And overall, it pretty faithfully followed most of the major beats of the Iliad. Obviously it was on a much more sped up timeline. The Trojan War was 10 years, and they got the Trojan horse out after like 1 week in the in the movie. I will say the scene where Odysseus comes up with the Trojan horse is hilarious. They rushed that plot point real quick, or maybe, I don't know, rushed, but it was, I'm trying to think of exactly how they set up. So Agamemnon is having a meeting with all the other Greek kings, planning how they're going to get through the walls. They're like, oh, I don't think we can. And then they're basically like, Odysseus, figure something out. The next scene is literally Odysseus sitting by a Greek soldier at the fire while he's carving a wooden horse. And he kind of looks at him and he's like, and I'm just like, bruh. And then the next scene is the horse being built. I was like, they wasted no time with that one. But overall, I really like the movie. And just like the story, the original poem or oral tradition, I don't know what the proper terminology is there. Hector, low-key base Chad protagonist. He's not really the protagonist. He's sort of on the not Greek side. Although I do think Brad Pitt, though he is a piece of shit in real life, kind of cooked in this movie, as per usual. But Hector, I feel like I shouldn't be rooting for him like in the original intent, but I just found myself on his side. I felt really bad for him. Like, his idiot brother causes this whole problem, and then he's just fighting a bunch of bloodthirsty Greeks, and he actually genuinely protects the city and cares about his family, and he just gets shafted and then absolutely murked by Odysseus. His body gets mutilated and all that. And spoilers, I should say, for not just Troy, but pretty much every single movie I'm about to talk about, and maybe even some collateral books. Basically, if I mention it in here, be ready for some spoilers, and if it's anything really egregious, I'll put something up in the thing, if I didn't warn you ahead of time. But yeah, so Troy, overall, I messed with it. I'd probably watch it again, but not for a while. The next one I watched on the last day of the year of 2024, I watched Kingdom of Heaven. You could tell I kind of got into the sword fighting, sort of pseudo historical accurate movie mood after watching Troy. But Kingdom of Heaven follows, I think, Balian is his name. He's a knight who reconnects with his father, who like sort of bestows knighthood and like this righteous duty upon him to go to the Holy Land, and it's set, I want to say, during the First or Third Crusade. I don't remember. It could be right before the Third Crusade, because honestly, my history knowledge is terrible. I'm just going to leave it. It's in Crusader times. And like how I mentioned Arabian Nights and Persepolis in my last video, I feel like this movie actually gave me some more perspective on Islam and just how it was during that time. And I feel like, surprisingly, for a movie like that, had the Christian guys as the main focus, or the Catholics, Crusaders as the main focus, as the protagonist. I thought, this could go into some territory where they misrepresent or make the Saladin and his Islamic army make them look like a bunch of brutes or whatever. But I think they're portrayed really favorably. I think Saladin in particular was really, really well acted, well written, and I thought he was a really interesting character, and I wish we got more of him. This movie is a little bit longer, but I actually really wanted to go and watch the director's cut because I've heard it's even better. I like the original. A lot of people say the original. I didn't find this out till after, but they say they feel like the original was like neutered compared to the director's cuts, and I'm like, damn, I should have watched the director's cut first. But I'm definitely going to go back and watch it because I already enjoyed the original a lot. I will say shout out Ed Norton. I didn't even know it was him playing King Baldwin, who's a masked leopard character. Amazing job. There's some really cool characters, and like it made me go, characters that were real life historical figures rather, that made me go and research them. Like I was reading about Saladin and King Baldwin and all that. And also Guy de Luçon and all that. It's like, I don't know, it's a period of history I find super interesting, and there's not really many movies that I've seen about it. And so it was cool to see it. All the outfits and stuff in the movie, like all the night stuff, like if you're a nerd like me, that stuff really was just sick. Like the swords, and it just felt like the costume department cooked, and the settings, everything felt really genuine. The final siege scene of Jerusalem was fire. I really liked it. But yeah, now moving on to actual movies that I watched in January of 2025, which was the whole point of the video. We've got Nosferatu. This was a banger. I really like Robert Eggers' style. The Northman is awesome. The Lighthouse is awesome. I love both of those movies. I don't think I've got Nosferatu higher than either of them. I think it comes in third. I haven't seen The Witch, I believe is Robert Eggers' other movie. He could have more, but I think those are the main four that come to mind when I hear of him. But he's got a distinct style that I can't put my finger on. I'm not really like a movie bro. Like I don't have the vocabulary and the knowledge to accurately distill his style into words. But I think anyone who's seen a Robert Eggers movie knows that his movies just have this feel to them. And Nosferatu is no different. It's got crazy atmosphere. The old-timey vibes are on point. All the actors did a really good job. Shout out Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, and Aaron Taylor Johnson too. Heard he was in the movie, and then seeing him in it, I was like, he's kind of playing more of a different character than I expected for him. Who got into some real freak shit, I gotta say. He really went off the deep end. But all the characters very well acted. Bill Skarsgård, of course, absolutely. Was it Bill or was it Stellan? Whichever one of the Skarsgårds, I forget which one's which, played Count Orlok, the vampire. Oh my god. You must mount on it. Crazy style. Insane. The voice was really good. All the memes it spawned have been awesome. I feel like I can't say, there's not much original I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's just dripping with style, great atmosphere, really well done. Ooh, Willem Dafoe also. Like, see, every actor, I can't even think of them all. Everyone cooked with the acting. I really like the story. I will say, I like horror movies because they make me feel something, and this movie made me feel something that I don't know if any other movie or even piece of media has really made me feel, which was like, there's like this sexual element to the horror, and it made me uncomfortable in a way that I just haven't really ever felt. And I appreciate it for that. If at the same time, I was uncomfortable, like, it feels weird to say uncomfortable sexually. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to sound like a freak, but you kind of just have to see the movie to know what I mean. Like, I don't know. It just gave me the jitters. But yeah, really, really well done. Really like this movie. Robert Eggers has done it again. I will blindly watch whatever this dude puts out. All right. And then you could tell I was on some combo of horror and sword bullshit because the next movie I watched was The Green Knight. Damn, dude. Just kind of really disappointed in this one. I remember I was hyped when I saw the trailer years ago whenever it was going to come out, and I was like, oh, I'll totally watch this. I never got around to it, but I did end up reading The Green Knight, which I think is also originally a poem. I read it so long ago, probably 4 years ago. I really liked it when I read it, and so I finally got around to watching the movie. I don't know. It was like, something about it was like a little bit off in like a intentional way, I think, but then also unintentionally it was just like a slog. Like, I don't know. And also I think that the Green Knight, like, his costume looked like a little fake and jokey. Like, it was just right on the edge of like looking sick and like being scary, but it just wasn't. I thought Dev Patel did a good job. But I don't know. I really wanted this movie to be fire and just like oozing style and whatnot, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't. Wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't like hate it, but like I found myself quite disappointed. I think I sort of jacked up my expectations a little bit too much because it was sort of like a combo of a lot of things I really liked and was in the mood for. So I could have sort of done that myself, but it was okay. All right, let's check the spready. Okay, let's get into these bad boys. I watched the Pusher trilogy. I didn't watch them in the order like that I'm about to say in the video. Like, I had watched other movies in between them, but I'm going to talk about all three of them just as one right now because I can. So they're directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, who also directed Drive, which, yeah, like every white dude who's like was like 16 when that came out loved that shit. What can I say? It's fire. And I think that these movies actually probably have more substance, maybe not, and style. They have their own different style. Nicholas Winding Refn is really good at putting style in all the movies of his that I've seen, which actually I think is only Drive in these three movies now. But they have a very distinct style. Like, not saying Drive style is like similar to the Pusher movies, and even in between each Pusher movie, they have distinct styles. But there's also this overall Pusher style that I really liked. They're super tense, very real, very grounded. Like, man, I have no desire to become a drug dealer after watching those movies. Not that I did before, but seems like that sort of life just sucks. Like, it's just so stressful. The scene in the first movie where the main character, Frank, he's trying to extort this dude, and the dude doesn't have the money because Frank himself owes money. So they try to force this guy to rob a bank, and they give him the gun, and he kills himself. And one, that's just crazy to see. And then the camera pans over to Frank's face, who's extraordinarily well acted, and he looks super like simultaneously dazed and also like, I'm so fucked, like I have no options left, which is a common face in all of these movies. But yeah, Pusher 1, really good. Pusher 2, also really good. It's Mads Mikkelsen, who I absolutely love. I think one of his best performances was in Death Stranding, which is a video game. So I think that, not that people don't know that he's a great actor, but like slept on performance there. Maybe not even slept on, just like how many people played the video game that also like watch hella movies and stuff. I don't know. But he did a great job. He was in Pusher 1. I think it was actually his first time being in a movie in Pusher 1. But in Pusher 2, he's the main character, and amazing job playing Tony, who's just like a dude who just everyone around him is just he's trying to be better, but he's also a piece of shit. I feel like he's the most like actually good-hearted out of all the protagonists. Like he actually seemed like he was trying to be better, and he doesn't seem like he has super crazy malicious intent. I mean, also, but I'm not justifying because they all do terrible things, and I don't know. I'm not. None of these guys get the pass. They're all bad. But I really felt bad for Tony a lot of the time, and there's times where I'm just like, I feel like I want to go through the screen. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, please, bro, please don't do that. Sometimes I even felt like giving him a hug, and like, I don't know. He also has this crazy hard shirt on, this EOS, Enemy of State. It's like this Dutch streetwear brand that like went out of business right after the movie came out. But oh man, his fits are hard. Makes me want to shave my head. And just really well acted, really depressing. There's also been some fire edits on TikTok lately going around about it, so I watched at the perfect time to stay tapped in with these youngsters on TikTok. The edits are fire. Just like this, there's like a scene of him in the mirror and he like lights up a cig and then downs like a bunch of Tito's. I'm like, that's some boss shit right there. And then Pusher 3, man, this one's a slower burn. I think. Pusher 2 is a slow burn, but Pusher 3 is a different type of movie almost. It's Milo as the main character, and he's in Pusher 1 and briefly in Pusher 2 as well. And he's trying to stay clean, but he's also just got a stressful drug dealer lifestyle, really demanding daughter, and all this. And it's sort of just a day in his life. He's got to cook for a bunch of people. He's got to sell a bunch of drugs and stay clean. And it's just, man, this movie all builds up to this one scene. And all these movies have really amazing build up and they're super tense. But, oh, man, just, wow. Just like the way it goes down in this movie, like at the end, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to like completely ruin it, but I mean, fuck it. I spoil like everything. Like when they're just like cutting apart the dead bodies and like, it's just gruesome. And he's like trying to put the dude's entrails down the drain and like, they're not going down. And the other dude is just like sawing this guy into bits and they're like putting him, like it's stuff you read about, like if you've read a lot of fiction or like maybe even see it in other movies, but something about it in this movie just felt so real in a very disturbing way. And maybe it's just because I watched Pusher 3 last night, literally. Home stretch right at the end, right before the bell of January 2025. But it's fresh in my mind and just gruesome. And I don't know. The Pusher trilogy, amazing. I really liked all of them a lot. And I highly recommend. It's not for the faint of heart, though. Next up, we got Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. This movie was sweet. I'm trying to think of I really like Wu-Tang Clan, and RZA did the music for this movie, and there's also a bunch of Wu-Tang cameos, some Wu-Tang songs. So that already was a slam dunk. Forrest Whitaker He cooked, did a great job in this movie. I feel like this is the first movie I've seen of his where he's just not old as hell, but maybe that's just because I've only seen movies of him later in his career where he is old as hell. Like as Saw Gerrera, and as, I forget the name of the dude in Black Panther, but those are the two other Forrest Whitaker roles that come to mind right off the top of my head, which honestly I'm probably doing him a major disservice there, and I'm just not well versed in his filmography. But that being said, he was great in this movie. I'm trying to think. I feel like there might have been another big name actor or actress in this movie, but it's not coming to mind now. But I really like this movie. I really like samurai stuff, of course, because I'm a nerd. And it kind of blends like the Hitman thriller with the samurai. And there's like a lot of themes about following a code and like sticking to traditions and like how modern society maybe degrades those traditions and this and that. And it made me think of what's his name? Oh, the dude who wrote Son of Steel, which is on my to read list. Yukio Mishima. He talks about how Yukio Mishima talks about he's this artist and philosopher and bodybuilder, a Japanese guy, and he talks about how there's no. You know what? I'm getting way off topic here, but he talk. Oh man, there's like no honorable death for young men or for men, which is like just like I'm not saying whether that's good or bad, but modern society has sort of changed like how our lives end and this and I don't know. There's just like a lot of stuff that really makes me like in this movie, and I feel like I'm still going to be thinking about it for a long time, and I'm definitely going to have to watch it again. I really like, normally in like these assassin movies, like the side characters kind of suck or this or that. I really liked the side characters in the movie, like the auxiliary friends of the main guy. I really liked the Jamaican ice cream guy and the little girl who likes to read, because in my heart, I'm a little boy who likes to read. Okay, I'm being a weirdo, but yeah, great movie. I feel like I should have more to say on this, but I'm absolutely brain farting right now. I'm floundering in front of the cam, but let's get to the next one. Now, this one shouldn't come as a shocker for anyone who watched the book video. I also watched V for Vendetta, but while as that reread of the comic was a reread, this was my first time seeing the movie. I enjoyed it for sure. There's some sick action scenes, especially at the end where it's V versus Creedy. That shit was cold as hell. But I have mixed feelings. I thought it was a good movie, but it just pales in comparison to the book. It makes these changes, which at first don't seem like they're that big of a deal, and they make sense for the movie adaptation. But at the same time, they change a lot of like the political messaging subtly, but to the point where it's pretty different from the comic. And I think that they got rid of some of the stylistic elements that would have made it cooler, and they kept some of them that just make it seem goofy, or like that those elements that they left seem goofier because they don't have the context of the other ones. I think that one, setting it in a more modern time period was not the move. I think that part of the charm of V for Vendetta is the period piece, and I think it just makes more sense with that time in history and whatnot, even though it is historical, like it's like pseudo-historical, like it's made up. Like, I don't know, I think it fit way better. They don't have the Fate supercomputer. They made Adam Susan into Adam Sutler, because it sounds like Adolf Hitler, like, and whatnot. Like, they're really subtle there, guys. I don't really care. Adam Susan's a piece of shit either way. But yeah, I think the party members in the movie are not nearly as fleshed out as they are in the graphic novel. In the graphic novel, you see a lot more of their lives, and obviously it's a movie, they had to cut it for time. But I don't know. It just makes it feel a little bit more flat and less triumphant when V like beats him up and kills him and shit. And I thought Natalie Portman did a great job as Evie. I did like that. I thought Hugo Weaving did a good job as V. The only thing with V is they added this speech at the beginning where he's like, vociferous vicissitudes, and he says all these V words, so that it's just like, it just came off really fucking goofy to me. Like, I get what they're trying to do, but like, the rest of the movie, V is pretty cool, and I thought he'd be a hard character to adapt to the screen. But that one scene right at the beginning really, like, just completely crushed his aura for me. Like, I was like, damn, what the fuck? Like, they really made this dude a dork. Like, he just goes, like, on this V, he just, like, says a bunch of words and alliterates V, like, to make this speech, and it's just, like, comical. It's like, there's no way you thought of this shit on the spot. Like, or you're out here, like, writing this for days on end just so you could pop up and, like, save this chick from getting assaulted and then, like, go all nerd mode. Like, I don't know. Yeah, and I think the ending, like, with all the people, like, we're all V and whatnot, I thought that was kind of stupid. I thought that, I think the graphic novel had a way better ending, and just, I also don't like how they made, I think Detective Finch, I think he's Finch in both the movie and the graphic novel. I don't know, I just really like how in the graphic novel, he actually just, like, trips Zack at a concentration camp off LSD, and it, like, changes his whole perspective. Like, I don't know. I just thought that was like the way they did it, and in the graphic novel, like it was like simultaneously more like but also felt more real. Like they made him too sympathetic in the movie. Like we didn't need another sympathetic guy. Like it was all right. It was all right. Like overall, there's some good action, and I feel like I'm sounding overly negative. Like I still enjoyed watching the movie, and I think that it adapts like the spirit of V for Vendetta in a lot of ways. Maybe not directly politically accurately, but it gets a lot of what it should have got right. So kudos there, and I definitely think it's worth a watch, especially if you like the graphic novel, and maybe even if you didn't. But yeah, let's see. Okay, we've got one more movie left, and it's technically the second to last movie I watched this month, but because I did push her all together, we're getting to it last. Conan the Barbarian. Now, I love to lift, obviously. Well, actually, maybe not obviously. I don't know if I uploaded a video about lifting yet, so hold my horses there, son. But I'm already a big Arnold Glazer, is what I'm trying to say. And I'd never seen Conan, and I kind of had this idea in my head that it was like more of like a goofy like kids movie. But then when I went to watch it, I saw, this shit's rated R? Like, what? So that already had me like, huh? And so I watched it, and it's like actually dark and like pretty real for like a fantasy movie. And there's got so many insanely like hard moments, and like the opening credits anvil scene, the wizard's voiceover in the beginning almost reminded me of the Nosferatu voice. Like it's super distinctive. It's really good. Like I really liked Conan and all the characters with. I like how Conan is like, I don't know if morally gray is like so overused, but like because of the way that he grew up, he has a different set of morals, and it's kind of hard to watch it at points, like watching the main character like do things that like you really don't agree with, like especially like when the female slave is brought in and it's like kind of rapey, but like also he's kind of getting raped. Like I don't even know, like man, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to upload this with all the crazy stuff I'm talking about. I really liked it though. It's also got like, aside from all the serious stuff, like it's not like 100% like dark, and like the action is really good, and I really just enjoyed the story, and there's just so many awesome moments, and Arnold is just looking jacked as hell. Like I'm not taking this bandana off until I got the Conan flow, so we got a while to go. But yeah, it really scratched like this dark fantasy itch. I love to read, and I love like dark fantasy like novels. And I feel like in movie form, like most dark fantasy movies that aren't like major like IPs and stuff kind of suck. And even a lot of the major IP ones suck. So like this really scratched an itch that, one, I was not expecting to be scratched, and two, isn't scratched often for me. So I think I really appreciated it because of that. I feel like there's some more scenes and stuff I should be highlighting because I really liked it. Like I was watching it and I was like enraptured. Like it was really, really a really fun watch. I've heard that Conan the Destroyer is not nearly as good, sadly. But I'm still probably going to watch it anyway just because I like the first one. I'm trying to think. I swear I have more to say about this movie, but it's just not coming to me right now. So yeah, that was my thoughts on every single movie that I watched in January of 2025. Take it easy, y'all.